Hi, I'm Illeana Douglas. Welcome to Trailers from Hell. This is, of course, the 1991 Martin Scorsese remake of Cape Fear. The original Cape Fear is from 1962. It starred Gregory Peck and Robert Mitchum. It was based on a book called The Executioners. This was Martin Scorsese's next film after Goodfellas. This was a movie that originally Steven Spielberg had developed with Robert De Niro, and he actually helped out a lot behind the scenes with some of the suspense sequences, some of the action sequences with the boat, some of the final cutting. They went back and did some reshoots. And he was really instrumental in helping out the tension, the sort of the dramatic tension towards the end of the movie, which Marty really felt was not his strong suit, and Spielberg was really good at. And what I like about the movie is that Marty was working in a completely new genre here, making a thriller. He worked on the script with Wesley Strick. He brought in great actors, and he made it much more of a character-driven story than the original. First film, obviously, it's in black and white, but it's really a Robert Mitchum tour de force noir, and he is this just crazy sexual psychopath. It's really his movie, and it's about his brutality. But the second movie, The Cape Fear, as I said, it's much more character driven. And I think that because Marty was working in this new genre, he wanted to have his own touches, which are bringing the family into it, making much more of a reason why is Max Cady a psychopath? Is he possibly a psychopath because of the deeds, the misdeeds of Nick Nolte? So Nick Nolte plays this sort of flawed family man. He's had an affair with his law clerk, which is played by me. They've moved to a new town. You get the sense he's not really even in his family environment. And these are all themes that are really important to Marty. What was important to Robert De Niro in terms of playing these characters, I think this is really a time for De Niro where he's going from these larger than life, he's a Taxi Driver in New York, and Goodfellas. And so this is now going to be his stamp with Max Cady. And he did a lot of research behind the scenes, and including talking to Dorothy Lewis, who was Ted Bundy's psychiatrist, to do research. And I think that what you see even in the trailer, even in the casting of somebody like Jessica Lange, this was not a typical mother role. I mean, I almost think this is a sly nod from Marty of like, you think you're going to be seeing this typical Spielbergian thriller, but I'm behind the camera, and you're going to make him crazy and neurotic, and a lot of things that you thought were going to happen aren't going to happen. There's some great cameos, of course, from the original cast. Robert Mitchum, who is amazing, and Gregory Peck, of course, wanting to wear his white suit. That was a little nod to Kill a Mockingbird. Okay, well, I don't want to ruin the movie for you, so here it is, 1991's Cape Fear. Another thing that's interesting for me is that in the original film, Barry Chase played my part, and she didn't even get a name. Her credit was the Drifter. So when I was cast in the film, the original script that Steven Spielberg had developed, Laurie was kind of the office tramp that got what she deserved. And I suggested that it might be more accurate, is that, what if this was a case of a really nice girl just being self-destructive and getting mixed up with the wrong guy? Now, I'm saying these things not to justify the violence that's in the film, but I think that Marty very much wanted the audience to question their own morals and their own, what would they do in this situation. And one of the reasons the movie works for me is that, like I said, it's a genre that Martin Scorsese had not worked in, a thriller. And that was very, very exciting for him. He brought in this great cinematographer, Freddie Francis, who'd done all the Hammer films, and he was very excited about working with him. They filmed in widescreen, and Freddie used these gigantic Klieg lights in almost every scene so that you could have this deep focus effect, seeing both the foreground and the background. And I have to tell you, the average temperature on the set was always 100 to 120, but it gives the film a great kind of noirish look. I also want to point out the soundtrack by Bernard Herrmann, which was then re-recorded by Elmer Bernstein. Bernard Herrmann, of course, did the music for Taxi Driver, so there's a history there. And there was an homage to the original cast with cameos by Robert Mitchum, Gregory Peck, and Martin Balsam in one of his last screen performances. and Mitchum, what can I say? When he's on screen, you can't take your eyes off him. Nick Nolte and I had to do a scene with him, and every time he spoke, we started laughing, and we had no idea. I think he thought we were high because we kept laughing every time he would talk, but we were so tickled that we were working with Robert Mitchum. Of course, you can't mention Cape Fear without acknowledging the breakout role for Juliette Lewis as the young daughter, which by today's standards, some of the scenes with De Niro crossed the line to very disturbing. And I understand for people that it's very upsetting, but it is a thriller with these moral questions underneath. And I think that that's what Marty was trying to say with the film, was that the family, particularly the wife, the daughter, my character Lori, are going to have to pay for the transgressions of the father. Hint, hint, Catholic guilt. I can say from an acting point of view, it was an honor to work on the film, and it was an honor to work with Marty and Freddie Francis. Every day going to the set, I learned something. Anyway, it's a great thriller. I hope you enjoy it. Cape Fear. As a little funny inside, you can look for Robert De Niro watching Larry Karaszewski's Problem Child, which was an inside joke. This was not accidental. Marty happened to love this movie and looked at the Universal titles and picked that movie because he loved when John Ritter said, "We've adopted Satan." So he thought that that was hysterical, that Max Cady's favorite movie was going to be Problem Child.
You're a damn credit risk. All right, sister.